Whiskerwood was a small town tucked between soft green hills and a ribbon of a river that sparkled like a hatch of stars in the sunshine. The streets were lined with blueberry bushes and lamp posts shaped like tulips, and every window had a neat little curtain stitched with tiny paw prints. In a sunlit cottage near the river lived a kitten named Little Whisker and her mother, Mama Mira. Little Whisker had bright hazel eyes, a nose that twitched when she was thinking hard, and a tail that curled into a question mark whenever she felt curious or brave. On the morning our story begins, Little Whisker woke to the buttery smell of warm milk and the soft hum of Mama Mira singing an old lullaby. She stretched, tapped her paws against the quilt, and padded into the kitchen. "Morning, Mama," she purred, rubbing her face against Mama Mira's sleeve. Mama Mira smiled, but the smile wobbled a little, like a candle flame in a draft. "Good morning, my brave kitten," Mama said, her voice warm. "Eat your porridge. You've got school and the day is waiting." Little Whisker noticed that Mama moved more slowly than usual. When she lifted the kettle, she paused and held her chest for a moment, as if listening to a faraway sound inside her. A cough shook her shoulders, small at first, then deeper. Little Whisker's question mark tail straightened in worry. "Mama, are you okay?" "I'm all right," Mama said, then coughed again. "It's a pesky flu, I think. If it doesn't clear soon, we'll visit Dr. Owl. No need to fret." But Little Whisker did fret, just a little. She ate her porridge and wrapped a scarf around Mama's shoulders before she left for school. Her teacher, Miss Goat, taught the class to count seeds and trace letters, and Little Whisker tried to draw the perfect S that looked like a river bend. At recess, she told her best friend Rafi the raccoon that Mama wasn't feeling well. Rafi's eyes softened. "Dr. Owl's good," he said. "He makes everyone drink chalky medicine, but it works." After school, the clouds gathered in tufts, and a wind like folded paper moved through the eucalyptus trees. Mama Mira was sitting in the armchair by the window with a blanket around her and the thermometer on the side table. When Little Whisker climbed up beside her, she could feel the heat in Mama's paws. "We're going to the clinic first thing tomorrow," Mama said gently, "just to be safe." The clinic in Whiskerwood stood at the edge of the square, painted the color of cornflowers. Inside it smelled clean like peppermint and soap. Nurse Duck waddled about with a clipboard, and Dr. Owl wore round spectacles that gleamed with kindness. He listened carefully to Mama Mira's breathing and peered into her eyes, then nodded to Little Whisker, who watched from a chair with her tail wound tight around her ankles. "Your Mama needs a good rest and medicine at the hospital for a few days," Dr. Owl said, blinking slowly. "Her cough is stubborn, and we'd like to keep a close watch. The good news is with care, she'll be back to her songs and warm milk soon." Nurse Duck squeezed Little Whisker's paw. "Hospitals can look big," she quacked, "but think of them as cozy nests built for healing." Little Whisker nodded, her throat tight. The hospital, just up the street from the clinic, had wide sunny windows and a garden where bees hummed over marigolds. Mama Mira was given a soft bed and a bell that tinkled when she needed something. Dr. Owl explained the plan and wrote out a list of medicines. He also showed Little Whisker a paper with numbers on it, the cost of the medicine and the stay. "It's a lot," Little Whisker whispered as the numbers floated and fluttered in her mind. "It is," Dr. Owl agreed gently. "Your Mama has some saved, and the clinic fund will help a bit. But sometimes in Whiskerwood, we all carry a corner of the blanket. That's how we keep each other warm." Little Whisker walked home alone that evening, the street lamps clicking on, one by one like stars waking up. She let herself in with the spare key under the mat, fed the sleepy goldfish, and sat at the kitchen table with Mama's saving jar. She shook it. The coins chimed together, plink, plink, plink like tiny bells. She counted slowly, 2 gold rounds, 5 silvery ones, and a handful of copper pennies. Not enough. Not yet. The kitten's tail curled into a determined question mark. "I'm little," she whispered to the quiet room, "but I can still try. I can do small things one paw at a time." She found a scrap of paper and wrote a list in her best school letters. "Things I can do," she wrote. "Sweep porches, water plants, read stories to the little mice at the library, carry groceries, paint fences, sort buttons at Mrs. Squirrel's shop, sing at the square, help Mr. Turtle deliver the mail, walk puppies for Officer Dog." At the bottom she drew a box and wrote, "Ask for help when needed." Rest. Eat. Be safe. In the morning, she tucked the list into her pocket and visited Mama Mira at the hospital before school. The room was bright with morning and smelled faintly of lavender. "I'll be brave," Little Whisker said, kissing Mama's cheek. "I'll learn and I'll help and I'll be back after school." Mama Mira smoothed Little Whisker's ear. "You are already brave," she said. "And you never have to do anything alone." At the bakery, the bell above the door jingled, and a warm cloud of cinnamon rolled out. Baker Rabbit Twyla wiped her paws on her apron and smiled. "Little Whisker, we heard about your mama. How can we help?" Little Whisker showed her list. "I can sweep or stack buns or tie ribbons on boxes." "You can tie the prettiest bows this side of the river," Twyla said. "And you can carry a tray of muffins without dropping a crumb. How about after school? I pay in coins and in cookies." So it began. After school, Little Whisker tied golden ribbons on boxes until the bows looked like rays of sunshine. She lined up muffins and counted the blueberry dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Twyla pressed some coins into her paw and added 2 cinnamon cookies. For strength. On her way to the hospital, Little Whisker hid 1 cookie in her pocket to share with Mama. At the library, Mr. Al's cousin, Lark, needed someone to read to the youngest mice, who wriggled like curious commas and loved stories about sailing boats. Little Whisker sat on the rug and used her best storyteller voice, making the sound of wind and creaking wood with her tongue. The mice squeaked and clapped. Lark gave Little Whisker a bookmark with a moon on it and a few silver coins. "You make stories into boats," she said. "On Wednesday, Mr. Turtle let Little Whisker help with the mail. She carried a canvas bag carefully and double-checked every name. "Slow and steady, Mr. Turtle reminded her. "Make sure the heart gets its letter." On Thursday, Mrs. Squirrel needed help sorting buttons in her shop. There were boxes of buttons, round, square, wooden, glass, big as cookies and small as raindrops. Little Whisker sang softly as she sorted. "One for a coat, one for a glove, one for a sweater that needs some love." Mrs. Squirrel paid her in coins and tied them up in a neat little pouch. Every afternoon, Little Whisker visited Mama Mira at the hospital, set the coin pouch on the bedside table, and told her about the day. "I tied bows. I read about boats. I delivered letters to Mr. Hedgehog and Miss Swan. I sorted buttons until my whiskers crossed." Mama Mira listened and laughed softly. "But were you safe? Did you eat? Did you rest?" "Yes," Little Whisker said. "I promised the list." Sometimes, when Little Whisker returned home after visiting hours, the house felt too big and quiet. So she made it smaller by lighting a little lamp and warming a bowl of soup. She put Mama's scarf over her own shoulders. She whispered, "It's okay to be small," into the soft glow, and the lamp seemed to whisper back, "Small can still be bright." On Friday, clouds gathered like sheep above the roofs of Whiskerwood. A soft rain began to fall. Little Whisker had promised to help Beaver Ben paint the fence around the park. "We can't paint in the rain," Ben said, peering at the drops that made stars on the puddles. "But we can fix the loose gate. Good work is good work." They set to it with a toolbox that clinked like quiet bells. Little Whisker held the nails steady and counted the hammer taps, tap, 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 until the gate swung straight again. Ben paid her with coins and a sturdy umbrella. "For your walks to the hospital," he said. "A good umbrella is a kind of friend." That evening, on the way to see Mama, Little Whisker crossed the square, the umbrella bobbing like a blue mushroom above her head. She stopped at the fountain to watch raindrops skip across the surface like tiny dancers. She set down her coin pouch to tie her shoelace, and in that very moment, the breeze tumbled the pouch into the fountain. It skipped, slipped, and plopped into the water with a gentle gulp. "Oh!" Little Whisker cried, her heart leaping to her throat. She knelt, reached and reached again, but the pouch had settled on the second step of the fountain, just under the water, the coins glinting faintly like shy fish. For a moment, all the courage she had collected felt as slippery as the water itself. "Need a wing?" asked a voice. It was Mrs. Goose, tall and sensible, with a scarf tied smartly around her neck. "Hold on to my arm. I'll hold your umbrella." Together they steadied themselves. Little Whisker stretched her arm down, until her paw brushed the pouch. She pinched it carefully and lifted it out, water dripping in silver strings. She clutched the pouch to her chest and let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. "Thank you," she said, her voice small and wobbly. "Mrs. Goose patted her shoulder. "Even brave kittens need a wing now and then." She reached into her own bag and drew out a clean handkerchief. "Here. Dry your pouch. And come by my tea shop tomorrow. I have sugar jars that need labels. A precise paw like yours is just the thing." That night, Little Whisker told Mama Mira about the fountain and the rescue. "It scared me," she admitted. "I almost lost everything I had earned." Mama Mira took Little Whisker's damp paw in her warm one. "You didn't lose it," she said, "because you asked for help and accepted it. That's not a small thing. That's a wise thing." Saturday dawned bright as a lemon. Little Whisker ate a hearty breakfast and made a new plan. Work in the morning, rest at midday, visit Mama in the afternoon. At Mrs. Goose's tea shop, she wrote neat labels for jars of sugar, spice, and special dried petal tea that smelled like strawberry garden.